The year is 1857, northern India, the middle of the night. And this village watchman is about to receive a bread delivery.
Psst, take this chapati. Make 4 more. Give them to the next village. Tell no one.
But what does it mean? Who is it from? What do I do with it?
Absolutely no idea. Good night.
I'm going to make 4 more, aren't I? Why am I going to make 4 more?
And here's the part that's completely true. Village after village did it. Plain flatbreads passing hand to hand across northern India by the British officials' own panicked estimates, outrunning their own mail. For a reason nobody has ever been able to find. The British absolutely lost their minds. Was it a code? A conspiracy? An extremely slow picnic? They didn't know. Historians still don't know. Possibly nobody knew. But the panic told you everything. The most powerful empire on earth was lying awake at night because of bread. Because deep down, it knew it did not understand the country it ruled. A few months later, that country exploded. This is the Revolt of 1857. Part 1. The Spark. Quick question. In 1857, who ruled India? Britain, right? Wrong. India, all of this, was ruled by a shop. The East India Company. A private corporation with shareholders, dividends, and, somewhere along the way, a fifth of the human race. Imagine a supermarket slowly conquering a subcontinent to improve its margins. That is not a metaphor. That is just what happened.
Hello, East India Company. We came for the pepper, we stayed for the taxes, and at this point, frankly, even we have lost track of the org chart.
And how does a shop hold down a subcontinent? With one of the biggest armies on the planet, bigger than Britain's own, which was almost entirely Indian. For every British soldier, roughly 5 Indian soldiers, sepoys, did the actual soldiering. Remember that ratio. It is about to become the most important number in this story.
Our business model is simple. Indians conquer India, and we invoice India for the privilege. We call it synergy.
Now, a sensible employer might want those 5 men happy. The company spent the 1850s inventing creative new ways to enrage absolutely everyone. Starting with my personal favorite, Conquest, by paperwork. It was called the Doctrine of Lapse, and the rule was simple. If an Indian king died without a biological son, the company kept his kingdom. Adopted son doesn't count.
What do you mean, doesn't count? My father adopted me. Half the royal houses of India run on adoption. It is how monarchy works here.
Sir, I don't make the rules. I merely wrote them, filed them, and profit enormously from them. Now do hold still. This stamp is remarkably heavy.
You will hear from my lawyers. Wait, you are the lawyers. You're the lawyers too.
Stamp annexed. Stamp annexed. Kingdom after kingdom swallowed by a man with a rubber stamp and the moral flexibility of a filing cabinet. And it manufactured a very specific kind of enemy. Royalty with nothing left to lose. Keep your eye on 2 of them. We will meet them soon. And they are not over it. But in 1856, the company hit a snag. The Kingdom of Awadh, rich, cultured, enormous, refused to have a succession crisis. Its king was alive. Annoyingly, persistently alive.
Right, new plan. We declare him unfit to rule. Too much poetry, not enough governing. We're taking the kingdom for his own good. Honestly, it's a favor.
I'm a poet, a composer. I have written operas. I confess I am not a spreadsheet person. But even I notice when my entire kingdom goes missing.
And yet the paperwork says misrule. Terribly sorry. The paperwork never lies. I should know. I write it.
And here is why this one broke something deep. Awadh wasn't just any kingdom. It was the nursery of the company's own army, home to tens of thousands of its sepoys. The company had just robbed the families of the very men holding its guns. So, furious kings, robbed landlords, humiliated soldiers. The company had spent 10 years soaking its own house in lamp oil. All it needed now was someone with a match. To find the match, come meet the man this entire empire was standing on. The sepoy, a professional soldier from a proud farming family, very often from, what a coincidence, Awadh. He took 2 things seriously, his pay and his faith. And the company was about to step on both at once.
They ship us over the sea now, and crossing the sea breaks caste. When we object, they dock our pay. And the new missionaries keep smiling at me. I don't trust the smiling.
My uncle's kingdom, stamped. My family's land in Awadh, taken. And yesterday, a 19-year-old lieutenant called me, boy. I have served 19 years. I have served in wars he can't pronounce.
Hindu and Muslim, brother, we are finally in the same boat, and the company keeps drilling holes in it.
All of this needed just one push. One perfectly, catastrophically stupid push. And in early 1857, the company delivered its masterpiece. The army rolled out a shiny new rifle, the Enfield. Lovely rifle. One design detail. To load it, you bit the paper cartridge open. With your mouth. And then came the rumor, and I want to stress rumor, that the cartridge grease was animal fat. Specifically, the fat of cows and of pigs. The cow, sacred to Hindus. The pig, forbidden to Muslims. One product and every single man in the army is defiled in a single bite. Do you understand how hard that is to pull off? You couldn't do it on purpose. Company incompetence had achieved what company rule never could. Perfect equality.
If I bite this, I lose my caste. My own family will not touch me.
And if I bite it, it is haram. So the one thing in this army that Hindus and Muslims now truly share is this cartridge.
Gentlemen, wonderful news. You may now grease the cartridges yourselves with whatever fat you like. There, problem solved, yes?
So the old grease was the bad kind.
I know it, that is not what we simply, oh dear.
He doesn't know. Look at his face. He genuinely doesn't know.
For the record, the grease was probably beeswax and mutton fat. And by now, it truly didn't matter. Nobody believed a single word the company said. And belief was the only thing holding a 5-to-1 army together. On the 29th of March, 1857, at Barakpur, the ice finally cracked. A sepoy named Mangal Pandey had had enough. He grabbed his musket and fired at a British officer. He missed the officer. He hit the horse. The statutes tend to leave that part out. He wounded an officer with his sword, and when arrest was certain, he turned the musket on himself. He survived. He was tried. He was hanged. Now, the movie version says Mangal Pandey masterminded the whole revolt. He didn't. By his own trial, he acted alone in the moment with no plan at all. He was something scarier. He was proof. Proof that the fury was one bad afternoon below the surface in every barracks in India. The company hanged him, disbanded his regiment, and declared the problem contained. Historians have a technical term for that: foreshadowing. 6 weeks later, at a garrison town called Meerut, the company took a discipline problem and upgraded it into a war. 85 sepoys had refused to touch the new cartridges.
Refuse the cartridge, will you? Very well, 10 years hard labor and we'll make an event of it. Uniforms stripped, ankles shackled, right in front of all your comrades. There, that should calm everybody down.
It was staged as a lesson, and it was one. Every soldier on that parade ground looked at those chains and understood precisely what 19 years of loyal service was worth. On the 10th of May, 1857, a blazing Sunday evening, Meerut snapped. The garrison rose, stormed the jail, and struck the shackles off their brothers. The fire the company had spent a decade stacking caught.
Brothers, to Delhi.
And that was the moment a mutiny became a revolution. Because Delhi wasn't just a city. The rebels rode 40 miles through the night, straight for the ancient capital, and for the one man who could turn an army mutiny into a cause. Because inside Delhi's Red Fort lived the last Mughal emperor. A man who at that exact moment was 82 years old, writing poetry and expecting absolutely no visitors. Meet Bahadur Shah Zafar, Emperor of Hindustan, technically. His empire was one palace, one pension, and some truly excellent verses. A gentle, melancholy old man, quite possibly the least likely revolutionary leader alive. So naturally, at dawn, several hundred bloodied cavalrymen burst into his courtyard and asked him to overthrow the British Empire.
Be our emperor, Highness. Bless our cause. Hindu and Muslim alike, we rise under your name.
I am 82. I have no army, no treasury, and no earthly idea who any of you are. I had planned to spend today on a rhyming problem.
Only your blessing, Majesty, nothing more. We shall provide everything else.
That, my child, is precisely what frightens me.
He was pushed, not leaping, a reluctant, frightened figurehead. But now hold still for a second, because what happened next is the heart of this entire story. Hindu soldiers, men who held the cows sacred, chose a Muslim emperor as the symbol of their rising. Not because of religion, in spite of it. Because his throne was the one thing in India old enough to belong to all of them. Whatever else 1857 was, it was never the neat religious war that anyone, then or now, tries to make it. With an emperor proclaimed, the revolt spread exactly the way the chapatis had. Hand to hand, garrison to garrison, faster than anyone could track. Regiment after regiment rose. Across the whole northern heartland, company rule didn't retreat, it evaporated. But look at the actual map, because the myth breaks right here. The south? Quiet. Bengal proper? Quiet. And the Punjab, freshly conquered, no love for Mughals, didn't just sit out. It signed up for the other team. Awkward. So this was never one united national army with one plan. It was 100 different furies, soldiers, kings, queens, peasants, igniting at the same time. Magnificent. And unplanned. Keep that word, unplanned. It's about to cost them everything. Meanwhile in Delhi, the rebels ran into revolution's hardest level, actually running things. And what they built deserves to be far more famous than it is. A 10-man court of administration, 6 soldiers, 4 civilians, Hindus and Muslims, at one table, governing one city in one emperor's name. And then the revolution received its most terrifying recruit yet.
Bakht Khan, 40 years in the company's own artillery. And I have brought this revolution, the one thing it did not have, a budget. Now, the company wants us at each other's throats over religion. It is the only way they win. So, no cow slaughter inside these walls, not as a favor, as an order. We hold together, or we hang separately.
Then it is ordered and under my seal. They would love to see us fight each other. We shall disappoint them.
That order is real. Zafar issued it to keep the alliance breathing. And notice, this unity was not effortless. It creaked, it argued, it nearly cracked a dozen times. It held because leaders chose to hold it, meeting by meeting, order by order. That's not a fairy tale. That's harder than a fairy tale, and far more worth telling. And all across the north, the revolt kept promoting exactly the people the company's paperwork had burned. Remember the stamp? The stamp is about to be remembered. At the great garrison city of Cawnpore stood Nana Sahib, adopted heir of the last Maratha Peshwa. When his father died, the company cancelled his inheritance and his pension. Say it with me now, you know the form.
Adopted son doesn't go.
Finish that sentence, please. I have waited years for you to say it to my face. The rules changed this summer, Clark, and this time, I did not write them.
What happened next at Cawnpore is the darkest chapter of 1857. And I'm going to tell it plainly, without spectacle, because it deserves that. The British community there, soldiers but also women and children, was besieged for 3 desperate weeks. Eventually, they were offered safe passage out, by boat, down the river. At the riverbank, the safe passage collapsed into killing. The men were cut down at the boats. The surviving women and children were held, and weeks later, they too were killed. It was a massacre. There is no softening that. What the records do not show is a clean villain. Historians have never found proof that Nana Sahib ordered it. The trigger at the river is disputed, and some of his own soldiers reportedly refused to take part. Hold this moment in your mind, not for revenge, but for clarity. Because the British reprisals coming in Part 2 will be every bit as merciless. In this war, mercy ran out on every side. Remember that when it is their turn. Southeast of Delhi, the kingdom the company had stolen most recently rose with the most fury. Awadh wanted its country back, and its resistance was led by someone the company had literally left off the paperwork. Begum Hazrat Mahal, a former queen of Awadh, set aside when the company exiled her husband. That filing error had a name, a spine, and very shortly, an army.
They decided our king was too fond of poetry to rule. Very well. Let us see how fond they are of a siege. My son is the rightful ruler of Awadh. and I will hold his throne with my own 2 hands.
Madam, do be reasonable. Hand back the city and the company will be generous.
The company's generosity, sir, is exactly how we lost the city in the first place.
Awadh's rebels pinned the British inside the Lucknow residency, and hers was the banner they rallied to, in a siege that became legendary. The British commander, Henry Lawrence, was killed by a shell within weeks. The defenders dug in for months. And here's the detail that wrecks every simple flag-waving version of this war, on every side. Inside that residency, fighting for the British, stood over 700 loyal Indian sepoys. Indians besieging, Indians defending. History refuses to be tidy. And then there is the face on every poster of 1857. The Rani of Jhansi. Lakshmi Bai. Her real story is better than her legend, so let's do both. The legend. Warrior queen, rearing horse, sword high, baby strapped to her back. Glorious. Also, mostly written decades after she died. We don't even have a reliable portrait of her face. The documented woman? A young widow running a kingdom. When her husband the king died, they had a legally adopted son. And you know exactly what the company did next.
Adopted?
Don't. My husband named our boy his heir before witnesses. I have petitioned your Governor General. I have hired your own English lawyers. I have followed every one of your rules.
And we have read every letter. Lovely penmanship. The answer is still no. Jhansi belongs to the company now. Do mind the stamp on your way out.
She did not start as a revolutionary. She started as a widow with a legal case. And the company turned her into its own nightmare, one rejection letter at a time. By 1858, she will be the most dangerous enemy it has ever made. That story, and how it ends, is part 2. So, stand at the high water mark in the summer of 1857 and look at what the rebels had actually done. Because it was staggering. Delhi, theirs, with an emperor on the throne. Cawnpore, theirs. Lucknow, under siege. Across the entire heartland, the mightiest corporation on earth was hiding inside its own forts. Back at headquarters, the mood was, let's call it, shareholder concern.
The share price is doing something I have never seen before. It's pointing down.
Also, sir, minor note. The Bengal army has left. Most of it, it's their army now.
For one wild summer, you could genuinely imagine the British being pushed into the sea, 90 years ahead of schedule. The rebels had almost everything. Almost. Because the company still held 4 cards, and in the background, coldly, methodically, it had already started playing them. Card 1. The sea. Troop ships were already loading from England to Burma. Card 2. The loyal Punjab. Card 3. The rebels' own hidden weakness, 100 risings, and not one shared plan. There's our word again. Unplanned. And card 4, a thin copper wire. The telegraph. Rebel messages rode horses. British orders moved at the speed of lightning, flashing warnings ahead of the revolt itself, so wavering garrisons could be disarmed before trouble ever arrived. The horse had just lost to the wire. So even as Delhi celebrated its emperor, British columns were grinding up the great roads toward the city, growing every week. The company had stopped reeling. Now it wanted revenge. And its revenge would be terrible. The scoreboard. At the end of summer 1857. The rebels, an emperor, 3 great cities, and most of the north. The company, a wire, the Punjab, the sea, and a very, very long memory. Next time, the empire strikes back. The fall of Delhi, the last ride of the Rani of Jhansi, the end of a 500-year dynasty, and a reckoning so brutal it will destroy the company itself. Part 2. The Reckoning. And no, we still don't know what the chapatis meant. At this point, frankly, the chapatis have earned their privacy.